Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to discuss how to choose the best boxing gloves for you, so stay tuned.
Uber up the styles like miles and shit. Like 60s funky worms with waves and perms. Just sending junky rhythms.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Carlo here, and today I wanted to discuss a common question that I get, which is, hey Carlo, what is the best boxing gloves that I should buy? Or what is the best boxing glove for me, which is probably the better answer to ask. And there's not really one right question to that, because everybody has a different purpose and a different budget when it comes to boxing or combat sports. So with that being said, I want you to ask yourself two questions. The first question is going to be, what is your goal with boxing or whatever combat sport you may be doing? Are you a beginner in it? You're looking to do boxing just to get in shape. Maybe you go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. You're doing it more or less for conditioning, just to make sure your physique's a little bit better. Maybe you're using it, boxing, as a supplement to another sport that you're doing, whether it's soccer, football, tennis, whatever it may be, and you're using boxing to kind of rotate that into your training for the conditioning aspect. Maybe you're more intermediate. Maybe you are going to the gym more frequently. You've discovered boxing and now you're looking at taking it more seriously. You go to the gym 3 to 4 days a week, maybe 5 days a week. Maybe you get a couple rounds of sparring in, and you're kind of on the fence whether or not you want to go further with it. And then you have the ones that are the individuals that are competitive. They're either amateur or they're at the pro elite level. Maybe if they're an amateur, they have 50 to 100 or over 100 fights, and they take boxing seriously. And for those that are at the pro level, obviously this is their career, this is what they do, and this is how they make a living for themselves. So ask yourself that question first to determine what category you fall in. Most people fall into that intermediate category. They're the ones who get into boxing, they really kind of fall in love with it, and then they figure out from there whether or not getting punched in the face and punching people is something that they want to do full time, or want to pursue it more as far as being competitive with it. And then the second question I would ask yourself would be, what is your budget? And by that I mean everybody knows what their own budget is, what they can afford, what might be a little bit too expensive, what may be on the cheaper end. That's really up to you, but determine a budget. Find out what your price cap is. Like, okay, I'm not going to spend more than $50 for a pair of gloves no matter what, or I'm willing to spend $100, or you know what, my checkbook is an open checkbook. I'll spend whatever I have to spend in order to get the gloves that I want. So that would be the second thing I want you to ask yourself to determine that. So once you have those two things figured out, where you want to go, then you can determine what kind of glove you should get. Now the first kind of glove is the entry-level glove. I got a couple toys here I wanted to show with you guys and share with you. The first is going to be these $29 pair of Bad Boy boxing gloves, the Bad Boy Strikes to be specific. These are definitely an entry-level glove. Most entry-level gloves come in a synthetic casing. They don't come in a genuine leather. At this price point, it doesn't have a lot of the higher end features that more an expensive glove would have, but nonetheless, if you fall into that beginner category where maybe you're just doing boxing for fitness, it's not something you take very seriously outside of just the fitness aspect, then these kind of gloves will get the job done. Typically, aside from the synthetic casing, these gloves usually use an injected molded foam because it's easier to produce on a mass level. The injected molded foam is cheaper to obtain, and there's not much technology to it. It's a single layer of foam padding that's pretty dense and stiff. That's really good for bag work, maybe some sparring, but it takes a while to break in. And typically on these more cheaper gloves, it doesn't have the same ergonomics as you would find with the multi-layer foam glove on the higher end. So again, most of the entry-level gloves will come with synthetic casing. They'll have a similar profile, and just generally the craftsmanship and quality is typically not as good as a higher end glove. Then the second category of glove would be the intermediate medium gloves. These are the gloves that the majority of people fall into. You have gloves like these Fighting Sport Furies, and then you also have the Infinitude Gloves. This is a kind of a newer brand, Infinitude, but these gloves typically fall in the $100 to $120 range. They're typically a full leather construction. The craftsmanship and the stitching is a little bit better than the entry-level gloves. And they do incorporate a multi-layer foam. So instead of having that injected molded foam, you have usually a higher density foam on the exterior. You have a medium and then a softer density that's against your hand once you put your hand inside the hand compartment on both of these gloves. And that's what gives you the more of a comfortable feel, more form-fitting and custom feel than you would with the more entry-level, cheaper end glove like this bad boy right here. So these gloves in this price range, again, typically you could expect better quality, better materials that are being used, and also better padding. So the ergonomics of these gloves are better. And again, you can find something in this range. You know, brand-wise, you can get yourself, you know, Tidal, which is also Fighting Sports brand, Infinitude, Sabas Pro Series, Rival RB2, Rival RS11s. Rival makes a lot of good intermediate gloves as well as some high-end gloves. And there's several brands out there that you can go with and find a good deal that you get both elements of a high-end glove and you also get the affordability of an entry-level glove. Then you have the high-end gloves. Now, I have here the winning MS500 gloves, excuse me. These are pretty much the gold standard of boxing gloves. If you've seen any boxing videos or training videos, you'll always see the highest of the high using these gloves. They're tried and true. The quality on these are exceptional, excellent stitching, excellent leather, excellent comfort and ergonomics of the hand. And there's a reason a lot of pros use these is because they last a long time and they're just perfect for training and doing overall gym work. So whether you're hitting the bag with these, you're using these for sparring, mitt work, whatever it may be in the gym, Winnings usually fits the bill. The biggest issue with these, of course, is the price. So some of the higher end gloves like Winning, Clutto Reyes, Grant, some of the custom Rivals, some of the newer brands like Fly Boxing, Donardo, usually are $300 on up. So you definitely have to crack open the checkbook if you want to pay the premium for gloves like that. The big difference between these and some of the intermediate to lower end gloves, obviously, is the materials they use. They're often handmade. They're not just mass-produced gloves. These gloves are made in smaller batches, so there's a lot more attention to detail in regards to just the stitching and the overall uniformity of the glove. Both gloves feel really nice, and they really work on fine-tuning the ergonomics of how the hand compartment feels. So when you slide your hand in these Winnings compared to putting your hands in these bad boys, you can tell right off the bat that these are a lot more form-fitting to your hand than these bad boy gloves. Now, does that necessarily mean that these $300 gloves are going to make you a better boxer than these $30 gloves? No, they're just boxing gloves. In the end, it's really the user that's going to determine how successful you're going to be in the sport. The glove is just more or less a luxury. If you're going up with a higher end stuff like this, that's really up to you on your budget. And like I mentioned before, if you said, you know what, I'm willing to spend whatever I need to spend to get me some good gloves, then obviously you want to go for some Winnings. If you're kind of in between that and you really want to save some money but you also want a high quality glove, then you can go with some Sabas Pro Series or like these Fighting Sport Furies, which are extremely comfortable gloves, have a full leather construction, and are great training gloves overall. And again, most people will fall into this category. But if you're strictly on a budget and you're like, you know what, I'm just doing boxing just to get in a couple of rounds on the bag, I just want to tone up my shoulders, I want to get in better shape and just have better conditioning. And then some entry-level gloves like these bad boys. Elite Sport makes some good entry-level. Venom, Hayabusa makes some good entry-level gloves. And by entry-level, I usually mean about $50 and below. And you can usually find those pretty easily. Just again, temper your expectations when you get something like this. Typically, the durability is not as good, but again, it serves its purpose. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any comments or questions, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box when you can find these particular gloves. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.